So when I arrived on the moon as an exile, I welcomed the change. The prison was beginning to kill my spirit. On the moon, I was free to do as I pleased. I had to wear a spacesuit and bounce around like a kangaroo, but I got used to it. You get used to things. As a man, you soldier on. The lack of food and water was initially problematic, but I began to realize that true nourishment came from the stars. And that's from page 60 from the poem The Moon by Jose Hernandez Diaz. This just came out recently in 2024, and it's from the entire collection, which is Bad Mexican, Bad American. And this poetry collection at times is autobiographical, and at other times it's just kind of ascends to surrealistic heights. The poetry collection is written in a prose poem, existing somewhere in between like categorization. In a way, I'd liken it to the experience of everyday life. In My Father Never Ate Until Everyone Else Had Eaten, he reflects on childhood misunderstandings of his father not eating with him at the table and only realizing as an adult that really had to do out of like physical necessity, not what he thought as a child, which is that his dad didn't want to spend time with him. And so we really get an idea of what his family went through and his experiences of like love of culture, love of community, music, art, and the artists that shaped him. And so I really enjoy this poetry collection. Overall, I would say that I have a minor critique, but I'd say take it with a grain of salt because it's contradictory to anything I've said before, which is I really like that Jose Hernandez Diaz poetry collection is accessible. That's really important to me when I read poetry. It Poetry has always been really daunting to me. Typically, the more abstract it gets, the more I'm just completely tuned out. Now, with the author writing in a prose poem form, I felt like it's accessible and it's easy for me to read. But when I initially started reading the collection, it took me a while to get into it for some reason, and I couldn't figure it out. Um, Sometimes I don't know. I felt like when I was reading some of the poetry collections, it almost felt like anticlimactic, and I had to remove myself and remember that I should just kind of read each piece as like a slice of life in a way, and then I was able to relax into the material. Additionally, like really early on, I stopped reading this poetry collection and I went to YouTube and I actually just took the time to listen to the author uh, recite their poetry. And once I did that, um, I became even more locked into their style and their narrative. And if anything, this poetry collection is way more playful than I was expecting. And actually, as the collection goes on, I'd say the more surrealist, I guess you could say, that it gets. Um, and so, yeah, I think that was my only critique. It took me a minute to like lock into the author's style, which is odd because uh, this happens every once in a while. Or I'll pick up a book and like I guess you could say the recipe of all the things that I like are in it, and doesn't completely click with me. And that's what happened with this collection. It didn't like click with me right away, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I'm gonna give this 4 to 5 purrs. It's definitely worth a read. If you've read this, let me know any insights that you have of anything that maybe I missed or wasn't understanding about this particular author's work. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's worth a read. And so if you could please just subscribe, like, and I'll see you in the chat.